some Ultimate Masters. Hello and welcome to round 3 here out of Prague, and we have ever smiling Martin Dang on camera here, the Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir champion, I believe. He's facing off against Lukas Gustafsson, and we are here to watch some Ultimate Masters seal deck action, and I'm really excited to see what Martin Dang has put together here. Starting with an island already makes me think that it's going to be something slow, something fun.
Well, and now a swamp. Typically blue-black in this format is some kind of self-mill strategy where you are filling up the graveyard and then making cards with Delve cheaper, or maybe exploiting flashback effects. Here we have, I think it's called Containment Priest. 2/2 flash. The ability could matter sometimes if, let's see, people would be going off with stuff like Through the Breach. Or against Persisted actually could do some work.
Yeah, exactly. It has some hidden uses here, and we'll see if it ever comes up for Martin Dang here, who's just passing the turn, like has done nothing in the first 4 turns, and Lukas Gustafsson at least has been able to deploy some of his creatures. He looks like to be on green-white aggro, like a traditional archetype that you see quite a bit in draft. In seal deck doesn't always get put together, but it offers you usually a nice curve, some umbras or other auras to make your guys bigger, and then they're hoping to get there by aggroing opponents out.
Yeah, there are several heroic creatures in green and white. We already see 2 on the battlefield here. Deadmos High Priest and Staunch-Hearted Warrior. But it is pretty suspicious that Martin is not really doing anything. And what you have to be mindful of if you're Lucas is the possibility of, well, there's Plumeveil too. I was going to say frantic search into, say, Twins of Mauer Estate, where you suddenly play a Madness blocker at instant speed. But this is another good reason not to swing in.
Yeah, what a great read from Lukas Gustafsson. Not attacking with his creatures and deploying a Staunch-Hearted Warrior. Like great play from the Swede on our right. Just a quick note: the life bar has not changed, even though Lukas did attack with the Containment Priest on turn 2. We're fixing that issue. It's going to get fixed eventually in a couple of minutes as live totals start changing. And Skullsback Marauder is here from Lukas Gustafsson. That can get past the Plumeveil and come back for more.
Good old Scuzzles. I like this card quite a bit. It's just card advantage, given that it typically trades for 2 of the cards on the opposing side. When you're drafting, like hybrid cost, when you take it early, gives you lots of flexibility. That's not so important in sealed, but I just love the hybrid mechanic in general.
There's a Fate's Feathers on the Plumeveil. Lukas Gustafsson is trying to clear the way for his small guys to attack. Looks like the Feathers will resolve, gain Lucas a couple of life, and now a big swings without the Staunch-Hearted Warrior though. Doesn't want to expose it to a block with the Fulminator Mage. And one thing about the Skullsback Marauder is interesting that when it originally came out, it actually wasn't that great because the mechanic Wither was quite prevalent, so there were a lot of Wither creatures, and it wasn't that good. But you always have to re-evaluate cards in these sort of reprint sets, such as Ultimate Master, because suddenly something that was maybe a downside in the original format now can be a big advantage. And I like the Marauders.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to point out here is that Containment Priest, it affects every creature, even your own. So if that Skullsback Marauders had died and then would have tried to come back with Persist, Lucas's own Containment Priest would have prevented that. A little bit of a non-bow there. Yeah,
but Martin did not see it, so he did not block with his Fulminator Mage, and good to point out. But again, as we said, small interactions matter. And even though I'm sure Martin is known for being legacy. Playing Legacy just like most Danes are. They love their Legacy. The Containment Priest is definitely a popular card there. He did miss this interaction, but now he managed to deploy an Ether Snipe, bounce the Skullsback Marauders, and is hoping to stabilize the board. Looks like Lukas Gustafsson doesn't have that much going on. He has the Staunch-Hearted Warrior, but never managed to find anything to enchant it with. And I think he also has the Lotus Eye Mystics that can
Yes.
bring back an aura, so he just really wants to draw an aura here.
Indeed. Yeah, without ways to target your own creatures, all of these heroic creatures are kind of mediocre. You don't want to be paying 4 mana to just get a 2/2. And now that Ether Snipe is holding off the board all by itself.
And it's always dangerous when Martin Dang's holding up mana, so many cards in hand. The blue-black deck can be really, really tricky. So definitely always something to be scared about when you're on the green-white side of things.
Yeah, as for the Fulminator Mage, there are not many non-basic lands in this format. There is some. There's like the cycle of like Celestial Colonnade and Raging Ravine. Indeed, as someone pointed out in the chat, if someone would try to go off with Dark Depths and Thespian Stage, a combo that we've seen in Legacy and that is also in this format, well, at least you have the Fulminator Mage. And at worst, it's just a 3 mana 2/2. Sometimes you just need a random creature to fill out your mana curve.
Yeah, so a quick note, as we probably noticed, the life totals are not changing, so we'll do it live. Martin Deng is on 9 and Lucas Gustafsson is on 24. We're trying to get that fixed down in the feature match area, but it's not going to be an instant fix here. So let's see. Oh, there we go. We're just going to remove for a while, get some more space to see the cards nicely. And there's the Hyena Umbra that Lucas Gustafsson just drew. Can enchant his Stoneheart Warrior, and that's going to make it into a big beater.
Oh yeah, that will change things. That would make it into a 5/5 first strike if it resolves. And then even if the Staunch-Hearted Warrior would die somehow, the Totem Armor ability on Hyena Umbra would mean that, it's not going to be destroyed. Instead, the Umbra would be destroyed. However, if there is an instant speed removal spell in response, like an Unholy Hunger, then, the Umbra is just going to get countered.
You called it.
And that's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, there's the Unholy Hunger, instant speed, 5 mana, destroy target creature. And Stoneheart Warrior is going to bite the dust. There's still the Mystics that can bring back the Umbra, and I believe, Lucas Gustafsson is going to play that.
Yeah, and then I guess you can just put the Umbra on the Skazbek Marauders and rumble in there.
I like what you're thinking.
Yeah. So it seemed like a very unfavorable trade for Lucas, but given that he gets a second shot at the Umbra, this seems pretty good. And yeah, 6 power, first strike. That's hard to block, and you can't even profitably jump block it with Fulminator Mage because it has trample too.
Yeah, first strike and trample.
Yeah.
And lots of power. That's always a good combination. Martin Dang took the hit. He's going to go down to 3.
Yeah, Martin might need another Ether Snipe to get rid of the Umbra, or just any removal spell. But
not any removal spell because of the Umbra.
Oh yeah, but just to get rid of the Umbra, because at this point the first strike ability is actually super relevant.
Yeah. I think he has another Ether Snipe in his hand. Plenty of cards for Martin Dang here. I wonder what he's working with. He sacrificed the Charm-of-Expand Expand and did not find a third color or anything, so it looks like he's straight blue-black. And that probably means his cards are pretty good.
I mean, when you have like triple blue cards like Plumeveil along with double black 3 drops and Fulminator Mage, fitting a third color into your mana base is fairly difficult.
All right, so there's another Ether Snipe. I love Ether Snipe.
It is one of the better blue commons. It's a great example of the evoke mechanic, where I mean, by itself, 6 mana, 4/4 bounce something. That's fine, you know. But sometimes you would have these games where you only drew, let's say, 3 or 4 lands, and you sit with like multiple 6 drops in hand.
Yep.
If it weren't for evoke, yeah, you might easily be losing those games because you just cannot really cast the cards in your hand. But thanks to evoke, well, you can just pay 3 mana to affect the board in a relevant way. So it's a very nice mechanic, and it's fun to have it back as a reprint here in Ultimate Masters.
Lucas Gustafsson is going to play his Skazbek Marauder for yet another time. He has dealt some damage. Remember, Martin Deng is at 3, not on 9 after one of the hits. Still weird.
Yes, he should be on 3, correct.
Yeah, the life totals are still causing us a little bit of trouble here. Let's see what Martin Deng can do here.
Well, at the moment, Martin needs to add something to the board, given that he's at 3 life. Otherwise, he might risk dying to an all-out attack.
He has something in his hand because I do see an Ulamog's Crusher and he has 8 mana.
That is a pretty good good way to add
never
to the
mind.
board.
Yeah, all right. So he was thinking about passing, but when he has decided to play the Crusher first.
Yep. So Ulamog's Crusher is one of the bigger common creatures in the format, probably the biggest. Great reanimation target, and well, just a huge monster that is going to trigger Annihilator when it attacks, which means that Lucas will have to sacrifice some permanents. Now that is not too relevant at this point, given that Lucas has more than enough lands to feed to the Ulamog's Crusher, but at the moment it's on blocking duty, and doing a pretty good job at that.
I mean, the first hit from the Crusher is usually like, I can handle this, and then the second is like, this is fine, and the third one you're like, oh man, I'm struggling.
A couple turns ago I had more than enough lands, but now, well...
Yeah, I'm running out of chump blockers, I'm running out of creature. Okay, there's an Eternal Witness, bring back the Staunch-Hearted Warrior.
Just building up like a big board, because Martin is currently at 3 life, and the Ulamog's Crusher must attack each combat available.
Yep.
So currently, at least for Lucas's next turn, he's thinking, well, I'll have 6 attackers. Martin has 3 blockers, maybe 1 more if he adds 1. Well, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So there's a swing with the Crusher. I imagine 2 lands are going to hit the bin, and Lucas Gustafsson is going to go down to 16.
Yeah. Now, if Martin were actually at 9, Lucas might have to think about, like setting up blocks for the Ulamog's Crusher, trying to trade it by blocking with multiple creatures. But given that Martin is actually at 3, I would like a no block and just try to keep as many creatures around as possible to set up for a potentially lethal Alpha Strike.
Yeah. Looks like Martin has a Mammoth Djinn. I think he has another Ulamog's Crusher in his hand, but with only 4 blockers, I mean, it's still it should be lethal because remember Martin is on 3 life. Our life total bar has some issues here, so. Yeah, I figure Lucas is probably like, I gotta swing with everything. He might have drawn a Shed Weakness maybe as a trick as well.
That's the +2/+2 combat trick. That makes the all-out attack even easier. Because even if Martin would have, say, Adjust the Wind, a bounce card, there's still gonna be 1 unblocked creature, which you can make lethal with Shed Weakness. Yeah,
well, we'll see if Martin Dang maybe has Adjust the Wind or something else. There's the combat trick that we just talked about. There's some of the blockers.
Actually, sweet synergy with Persist, because if a creature with Persist would have a -1/-1 counter on it, you can remove it with Shed Weakness too.
Yeah, there's
get it back another time.
Kill the Containment Priest, but there's Shed Weakness for the last few points of damage, and Lucas Gustafsson does take this game, and I didn't think he would get there, but a couple of good decent draws, put some creatures on the battlefield, and had enough to swing past Martin Dang here.
Yeah, very nice performance there, and it seemed like Martin's deck was just a bit too slow. He had all these like powerful heavy hitters, the 8 drops, the 6 drops, but just fell down to into the single-digit life totals too quickly. Just couldn't come back. One interesting tidbit I wanted to add is regarding the Fate's Feathers that was cast this game. Because, well, here you just saw like the typical use of it. Just take out one blocker and that's fine. But Fate's Feathers can actually target any permanent. Back in the days when Fate's Feathers was first released, it was in Ravnica. Like Planeswalker as a card type didn't even exist.
True.
Right? Now in Ultimate Masters Limited, there's at least 1 Planeswalker in Liliana, so you have the option of playing Fate's Feathers on Liliana to shut down the Planeswalker abilities. Back in Ravnica block, no one had even like dreamt of the whole idea of a Planeswalker. That only came in Lorwyn, I believe, a couple years later.
Correct.
In 2007 or so.
Yep.
So yeah, we've only been playing with the card type Planeswalker for about half of the time that Magic has been around. Nowadays in Standard, it's one of the key permanent types. But back in the days, people were just playing mana vaults and ramping into insane stuff on turn 2.
And sometimes less insane, right? Ramping into Shivan Dragon.
I remember doing that while I
There we go.
was starting Magic, and I was really happy with my turn 5 Shivan Dragon.
Yep. So, yeah, no, I mean, I remember the times when in original Ravnica Standard where we were using Fate's Fetters to enchant lands just to gain life. When the battlefield was empty.
Right, when you were playing against a burn deck,
Yeah,
and then there were
exactly.
no other permanents, and the opponent was like, "Wait, you can enchant lands?" Instead of like reading the card. Oh, yeah, nice
Enchant
play, nice
permanent.
play, yeah.
Yeah, it works out well, and I mean, I still like the card, and I'm sad it wasn't really reprinted in a proper set, but it's actually quite powerful because the four points of life that you gain is actually quite significant, and it's actually like a really good removal spell in white.
For sure. Flexible and great for control decks.
All right, so we have as you can see our director Steven leaning there in the background. He's trying to change some laptops here. There, it looks like it was a laptop issue that our live totals were not updating, so we're swapping out a new laptop for help because we really do need those live totals to give you the best experience possible.
I mean, I can keep track of things.
Frank, perfect.
Right, we'll have me as the personal accountant trying to keep track of all the live totals.
I mean, you're a mathematician after all,
Yep.
so...
Yeah, I should be able to do this.
Are you sure?
All right,
Don't need any help?
No, what are we starting at again?
20, I think?
20
20
yeah,
each, yes.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Frank.
Yep, yeah, I got it.
Have you ever thought of maybe a career, like, tennis... what do you call it? Tennis? Is it judge? Is it the tennis? The umpire? They call, I think, or something like that. I think Chad maybe can help me out. What the guy who does who calls out the scores and everything is, and at Grand Slams, I'm sure you can help me. I think it's something similar to that. So yeah, umpire. Someone said so. I was right, and because like 15 love, 13 love, 15.
I had never given it any thought. I'm also not sure how well it would suit me, but
I mean, you need to know how to argue with the players. That's all I know from tennis umpires. All right, yeah. Thanks, guys. You worked it out. All right, back to Magic here. As you can see, our life totals are not fixed yet, so please ignore that for now. And slow start for Martin again. Ooh, Phalanx Leader. That's one I like. Rune Snagged right away. That's one of the best creatures for the green-white heroic archetype.
Oh, absolutely. You have to get that away from the battlefield while you still can. Ooh, is that an Ancient too?
Ooh, it is.
So 4 mana available for Martin if he had wanted.
Yeah, and I mean, it works well in his deck with double Ulamog's Crusher, Mahamotijin.
No, but Phalanx Leader, that's one of the best heroic creatures. Anytime you target it, not just itself gets a +1/+1 counter, but every creature you control. So that can get out of hand pretty quickly. Kodama's Reach is the premier ramp card in the format, and also an excellent mana fixer, allowing you to splash some powerful cards. Dreamscape Artist. Wait, shouldn't that have come down on the previous turn?
Maybe Martin just drew it. He doesn't have another land. Yeah.
Dreamscape Artist is also a great mana fixer, although Martin is playing a 2-color deck. It seemed like, but also one that can fill up the graveyard, perhaps enable Madness. Filter your entire deck out of land so that at some point you're just drawing spells every turn of the game.
That's one I like the most. It takes a while, but you can get there. But I like Dreamscape Artist. Fixing your mana and enabling Madness and Delve shenanigans is definitely like a card that makes it really worthwhile to play in almost any blue archetype. All right, Staunch-Hearted Warrior for Lucas. And he probably has something in his hand to start triggering, making it quite huge. But he has to be aware of Martin Dang. His Ether Snipes and his probably removal spells because he is blue-black.
Well, life totals are still 2020. I don't think anyone has attacked yet, though. With this Ancient Tomb, I have to
get your pen ready.
Oh yes, yes.
It's like we're starting. So
18. I got it. Yeah, Martin down to 18.
No, Frank, you have to do it like like you're serious about it. Martin Dang 18, Lucas Gustafsson 20.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, that actually sounds good.
All right, so Martin Dang is going to discard a Fulminator Mage, sacrifice an island, and
then search for 2 lands.
Untapped.
Oh yeah.
It's always nice. It's The original effect is the card Harrow, if I'm not mistaken, originally from Invasion, right? 3 mana,
Oh, yes.
sack a land, find
Correct.
2 lands.
Yep. Ooh, and that's a very cheap Gurmag Angler.
Yeah, there we go. The Dreamscape Artist being used to its full potential here.
Yeah, he needed the discard as well as the sacrifice of the land to enable the zombie fish this early.
Yep.
But,
Quick reminder for all the viewers: our life bar is broken. We have a manual life bar in the mouth of Frank Karsten.
Martin Dang 18, Lucas Gustafsson 20.
Thank you very much. All right, let's see what Lucas Gustafsson has going on here. I see a God's Willing in his hand. He can. That's great for protecting your heroic creatures because it also gives them a boost. But I think we're going to see maybe a Heliod's Pilgrim that I saw in his hand. No, 2 mana. What is this? Oh, Conviction.
Oh,
all right.
Lucas is going off.
Combo.
Yeah, and then you can return it to your hand, play it again,
Yes,
make the warrior even bigger.
Do it. I mean, Martin Dang is tapped out.
Yeah, and you would even have like 1 mana left open for the God's Willing in case Martin untaps and plays a removal spell. So
perfect.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, bounce. Play it again. I love what's going on right here. So that's already a 6/6 Stoneheart Warrior and gets +1/+3.
This is exactly what a green-white heroic deck is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an attack for 7.
All right.
So Martin Dang 11, Lucas Gustafsson 20.
Fantastic. It gives it. We already have the Magic GP that we're watching now already has an air of something that tennis brings. Kind of like the grace, the history, and the nice way that it just feels so regal. And now you're doing a great job, Frank. I have to say. All right. Back to the match at hand. Martin Dang still struggling with his mana. Dreamscape already. I don't need the rest of my hand. This is gonna beat you all, and so it doesn't have trample just yet. So
well, he might easily need the God's Willing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is a good point. Staunch-Hearted Warrior doesn't have trample. Martin Dang 9, Lucas Gustafsson 20.
Martin 7, right? Oh no, 9. 9. Yeah, right. Right. There's the original. Oh, okay. It wasn't from Invasion. Thank you, Raph.
What is this, Tempest?
Tempest, yeah. Thank you for bringing back. Raph is our OG man who knows his cards, so I'm glad he called me out on this. I'm really glad he did. He's on card viewer for this round, so he's bringing you all the cards flying in from the right side of your screens.
No, but coming back to the point you made about this is not gonna resolve.
An Unholy Hunger countered by God's Willing, of course, giving it protection for black. And Martin Dang is in quite a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, the warrior doesn't have trample, so it can be chum blocked. Well, that does need a creature.
Yep, Fate's Feathers gets rid of the Gurmag Angler, and the Staunch-Heart Warrior can rumble in for a win for Lucas Gustafsson. So takes the match off the Pro Tour winner.
Game, set, match, Lucas Gustafsson.
Oh yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, great job, Frank. Great job. Yeah, there it is. Oh, we made the graphics work just as the match has finished. Perfect. Great timing. All right. Guys, we're having a lot of fun because this set is just a lot of fun. You just saw it. It's really interesting Magic where some people do like really great things like, turn 3 Gurmag Angler. And the other opponent is just doing much better and bigger things.
Like 5/5, that's not big enough.
Exactly.
Look at my Staunch-Hearted Warrior.
Yeah. All right. So we got more of this madness coming up here in Prague, so don't go anywhere. welcome back to round 3 action here from GP Prague. We already saw one match, but we have another one ready to go, and it's a player that's been actually quite requested from in the chat that I saw. Double back-to-back English national champion, Artem Burchat, on our right here, and Artem is playing against Stefan Kreutz, and I'm really curious to see what is going to come out of the decks of these two players.
Well, it looks like we'll have a match between green-black, which is very often a graveyard-reliant archetype, or maybe ramp. Who knows? In sealed you can get anything, against blue-black, which, as we already saw in the previous round, can often rely on delve cards that are coming out way ahead of schedule.
And speaking of way ahead of schedule, Devoted Druid, man, Frank, I have to tell you, I love this card.
I do too. It is one of the better ramp cards in the format, especially if you just want to ramp into, say, a 5-drop on turn 4, or like the True Dream is casting this on turn 2, and then Pattern of Rebirth on turn 3.
Yeah, I mean, I already heard of this happening actually quite a bit in the GP already, but Stefan Kreutz, turn 3 Leovold, Emissary of Trest. That's a great play.
Yeah, it's I think the only, or one of the only, triple colored cards in the entire set. And when there's not a lot of mana fixing, it's generally quite difficult to get it out early. But here, turn 3, perfect land base.
Yeah, the perfect 1, 2, 3.
So what Leovold does, it's a legacy staple. Each opponent can draw more than one card each turn. And whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. So these abilities are typically not as valuable in Limited as they are in Legacy. But yeah, you might still prevent the opponent from, say, drawing multiple cards with Treasure Cruise, or maybe draw a card whenever they try to target one of your permanents with a removal spell.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible, and I'm not surprised Autumn decided to last cast Devoted Druid, because the potential of something big coming out of Stefan Kreutz was definitely there, but he looks to have just a bunch of small dudes.
No. Well, Leovold is 3/3. It's at least bigger than the Ghoul Color's Accomplice.
Yeah, I was trying to imply that if Autumn plays a decently sized creature here, it can be pretty good, and Canker Abomination and the 3/3, it's probably not where you want to be.
No, it's not what you're hoping when you put it in your deck. What you're hoping is that you cast it when the opponent has one creature on the battlefield, then it's a 5/5, or maybe 2 creatures, then it's a 4/4. At a 3/3 for 4 mana, it's still playable, but a little subpar. Canker Abomination is actually the type of card that I like boarding in when I'm on the play, but boarding out when I'm on the draw. Generally speaking, I always feel like sideboarding in Limited is underrated. It can actually improve your deck by quite a bit, and that is an example of a card that is much better on the play when you can deploy it when the opponent doesn't have as many creatures yet.
So Stefan Kreutz, what are you going to do here with 5 mana at your disposal? Looks like just a pass here, and that's great news for Autumn here.
Alright, so we're moving into a bit of a board stall. And Mahamoti Jin was already breaking up board stalls over 20 years ago. We'll still do that here. 5/6 flying.
Stefan Kreutz, anything? Okay, so exiling the Devoted Druid for Gurmag Angler. Okay, it's a 5/5 body. At least it's bigger than the Accomplice and the Canker Abomination, but I'm assuming the Jin will do some heavy lifting here.
It's a 4-turn clock, and without a removal spell or a flyer on Stefan's side, Stefan's best plan is to enter a damage race, which may or may not work, but it's not easy against the Jin.
Yeah, definitely. Just another land from Stefan Kreutz. He does have one spell in his hand, so if it's a good one, probably not a removal spell. He would have played it earlier, but might be maybe like a trick. Okay, so swinging with the Angler and the Leovold.
Yeah, you could have attacked with the 2/2s, because both of them give some value when they die. Safehold Elite would come back with Persist. Ghoul Color's Accomplice can create a 2/2 zombie when it's exiled from the graveyard. but Stefan's still taking it somewhat slow.
Yeah, for those of you just joining us, this is Ultimate Masters, sealed deck on day 1. We're going to play some drafts on day 2. Look at that, Death Denied. Leovold comes back.
All right.
I probably would have swung with my whole team if I'm planning to do Death Denied plans, but it's still fine here. Stefan Kreutz applying pressure. Is the Jin going to stay on defense this time around?
It's interesting because if you don't have anything else, you can keep attacking, but then you are losing the damage raise, even counting the chum block potential from the Ghoul Color's Accomplice. And now it seems to be a bit of a board stall because Stefan cannot profitably attack.
All right, and this is for a board stall. Dimir Guildmage is where you want to be.
Yep.
Oh, just a pass though. Maybe he has something else coming up. But
yeah, I'm a bit surprised because Dimir Guildmage has 2 great abilities. 4 mana draw a card, or 4 mana target player discards a card, but both of them can only be activated as a sorcery.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would mean that Stefan has some kind of instant that he wants to leave mana up for, or he may have misread his Dimir Guildmage.
No, okay, doesn't do anything on his turn. You're leaving up some mana. My favorite part of Dimir Guildmage is the end game where your opponent's landing low cards. You get like draw a card, discard a card. both modes player.
You can actually like mill out the opponent that way.
And not always a great plan, but okay. Here's the activation from Guildmage. First starting with discarding cards.
This a plan.
3 mana, Golgari Brown Scale. All right, another creature added to the board. Like Stefan Kreutz's board is quite wide already.
Yeah, but this is nice and all. But Autumn does have a 2-turn clock in the air with Celestial Colonnade, the creature land that can turn into a 4/4 flyer, and Mahamoti Jin. It would mean that she has to survive the next attack by chum blocking with Ghoul Color's Accomplice, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I think that would work.
Yeah.
Because if you put the Ghoul Color's Accomplice on the Gurmag Angler next turn as blockers while swinging with both flyers, you're taking exactly 11. Well, you're at 12, so heads up.
Yeah, this is a very close match, or game rather. Lots of combat math to do here, and even though I wouldn't say it's always that common to do lots of combat math here, Autumn is going for it. Swing for 9. Stefan Kreutz down to 6. Frank, I like having a life bar, but I really enjoyed the job you were doing in our previous match.
Stefan Kreutz 6, Autumn Burchat 12.
So soothing. Anyway, let's see if Kreutz can dig himself out of this. He needs to find a way to deal with the flyers while also being able to manage to get Autumn's life total low.
Well, yeah.
Ooh, Unholy Hunger.
Oh, that is a great draw. Isn't
it just lethal here, like targeting the Accomplice and swinging for lethal?
Yes.
Oh no, okay. Going for the Jin though first.
Yeah, I believe it would have been lethal if it had been played on the Ghoul Color's Accomplice. But that does assume that Autumn doesn't have an instant like a Just the Wind or some bounce spell. If Autumn has such a card, then at least you have dealt with the biggest flyer if you're Stefan. So
yeah, and I assume Stefan will also probably leave something on defense just because of not wanting to die to Colonnade plus attack with the Accomplice. So maybe Guildmage or the
probably the Brown Scale, like as a 2/3. That's just the best blocker. You may have to attack with more though, because keeping 3 creatures back as blockers is a bit overly safe, and you might run the risk of like not being able to deal enough damage over the course of 2 combat steps while that Celestial Colonnade is going to finish you.
So that's a big swing. 10 on the ground. Autumn has the option of trading here.
Wow. If I were Autumn, I wouldn't be interested in trading. Like, there's no way you're winning a long game in this spot. The only game plan that I realistically see is chum blocking, just trying to stay alive for as long as necessary to win with Celestial Colonnade. If Autumn can survive this attack and the next one, that flyer should win the game.
We'll see if it's going to happen here. And a swamp in hand for Autumn here. Has the Celestial Colonnade attack.
Yeah, but then you do need 3 blockers. That's it's pretty difficult, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be that the Unholy Hunger was indeed the defining card this game.
It was a great top deck. We don't always like to call it a top deck or that it decided the game, but
it came from the top of the deck.
It did. Yes.
But of course, there surely were plenty of cards that Stefan could have drawn in that spot.
Yeah. So due to the magic of Time Walk magic, we can go directly to game 2 without all the shuffling. So this is great for us. And Stefan Kreutz and Autumn Burchett are trying to see who is going to make it up to 3-0 here in Prague. What a lovely city as well. And judging by last game, Stefan Kreutz certainly has no shortage of 2-drops to play. And there's a safe hold delete on turn 2.
No, just a 2-2 with Persist. Nothing really special, but a serviceable 2-drop in any deck.
So it looks like a completely new deck configuration for Autumn here.
Indeed. Where did all these Mahamoti Jins and Celestial Colonnades go?
To the sideboard, Frank.
Yes.
They're resting for next round. Icatian Crier from Autumn here. Still not a great blocker for the Sable Elite or the Crow Dark Titans that just came down for Stefan Kreutz, but I think Icatian Crier is one of underrated card, goes late in draft and you don't always want to pick it up. But sometimes in board stalls it can really win you the game by going just wide, creating lots of tokens and trying to win through that.
And going wide is what Red-White is best at. They have the Rally, the flashback card that can give +2/+0 to all of your creatures. There are also alternative cards like Magmaw that allow you to sacrifice a bunch of creatures, and other cards that create a bunch of tokens from Aggro and Crusader to Molten Birth. So very often, if you see a red-white deck in this format, it is one that is trying to go wide with a lot of 1/1 tokens quite often, and then hopefully play some global boost effects.
So Autumn takes the hit from the 2/2 creatures down to 14 here. And what is the follow-up from Stefan Kreutz? He has a Shriekmaw, a Pulse of Murasa, but actually doesn't do anything here. And so there's already Icatian Crier discarding Brazen Scourge. No double red, so that's probably why. And here come the Citizens, I believe.
Let me look that up.
Yeah, please do. I want to be correct in my token calling.
They are citizens.
I'm good at this.
Yeah, you're very wise and cultured.
Coming from you, Frank, that's a very big compliment. I appreciate it. All right, so the tokens swing in here, and a pass from Autumn. Oh. There's a pull from Murasa returning.
I see what Autumn is up to.
Yeah, I do see it as well. Come on, tell us.
It's activating the Icatian Crier and discarding Reckless Worm, which you can then cast for Madness all of a sudden to ambush. Well, I guess only a safe hold delete, but still pretty good.
I see some ambushing here.
Oh yeah.
All right, so there's the Icatian Crier activation. Madness Enabler extraordinaire. More citizens as well enter the fray.
Madness is such a weird mechanic. Suddenly allowing cards that you're discarding to be cast for a cheaper cost. At instant speed as well. But Reckless Worm is one of the better ones in the format.
Yep. So
for trample.
There's the ambush. Still 2 damage from the Crow Dark Tidings, and looks like Stefan Kreutz will probably play the Shriekmaw, Evoked, and kill the Reckless Worm. But still, he's going to be facing quite a bit of damage from all those citizens.
Yep.
They're rallying. You know, they've formed the militia, and they're like, we're not going to take it from these dirty crows anymore.
Nope.
We're gonna
Get in
swing
there.
back. All right, what's it gonna be?
Ooh, that's a Hissing Iguana in hand. Which
is that a combo, Frank?
well, yes. It means that whenever any creature dies, you get to ping 1 damage with the Iguanar.
Yeah.
And when you have a bunch of small creatures, that is definitely a combo.
Yeah. Whenever another creature dies.
Yeah, could be your opponents as well, even.
It deals 1 damage to card player or planeswalker.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty good, especially with bunch of tokens. It's quite good. Let's see what Stefan Kreutz finally found a 4th land, so maybe he can put up a few blockers to stop these crazy citizens.
These citizens are all taking up their pitchforks and marching into battle.
Yeah. The Cadian Crier is like, come on, more! I need more! I need more of you citizens.
If you cry loudly enough, more citizens are going to join in.
Okay, so 2 mana Wild Mongrel and a Devoted Druid. I already see that Stefan Kreutz has a plan. And I think his plan is become immense on the Crow of Dark Tidings.
Ah, okay.
Because he has a flyer that cannot be blocked for now.
Mm-hmm.
And he set up a little bit of defense here. And become immense is +6/+6. It enables quite a few crazy things in this format. I already heard of Wild Mongrel, Become Immense, and Cleave, or the 2 mana double strike.
Right, then it's like suddenly you swing for 20 out of
on
nowhere.
turn 3, it's and I've heard about it in Steel as well. So I think it's called Double Cleave or something.
Yes, Double Cleave, I believe. But here it means that what Stefan would be planning would be to attack for 2 in the air next turn, put Autumn down to 8, and then the attack after Become Immense +6/+6, attack for 8.
Well, we'll see if he
which would
gets
be lethal.
Yeah. All right, because I'm pretty sure Autumn is going to keep pressing. Yeah, Stefan Kreutz down to 14 here with the 5 citizens doing damage. Ooh, Spirit Cairn. So I think this means that it's whenever Autumn discards a card,
whenever a player
okay.
whenever a player discards a card, could be yourself, could be your opponent, you may pay 1 white mana. If you do, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying.
Exactly.
And that could actually give the flying blocker that Autumn needs to get out of this Become Immense plan from Stefan. Not that Autumn knows about the Become Immense.
Yeah.
At least not to my knowledge.
I don't think Autumn does. And also an Unholy Hunger in Stefan Kreutz's hand. So he's probably thinking of like, okay, how can I win this? What do I need to do here? What do I need to kill to be able to win?
Also then, if I'm in Stefan's seat, what I'm thinking is, okay, so this turn the Crier is going to make some tokens, but then Autumn doesn't have enough mana to also trigger the Spirit Cairn. Next turn the same might happen, and then Spirit Cairn will trigger, giving Autumn a token. So if Stefan can, on the next turn, play both the Unholy Hunger on the flying blocker and Become Immense, then that should be lethal. Even if that doesn't work, I guess you can play Become Immense this turn, and then have Unholy Hunger on the next. That would also be enough.
I mean, he would have to discard a few cards to make sure that he has Spell Mastery enabled, because remember the Delve on the Become Immense would probably eat up quite a few of these resources. But he does have lots of mana, Devoted Druid here, and he's just going to play a Hooting Mandrills, which is okay. It has Trample, so definitely relevant when you have something like Become Immense in your hand.
For sure, that means that like the whole plan of destroying the flying blocker is not so important anymore, because you can attack with a 10/10 Trampler.
Exactly. Ooh, but Autumn has some very interesting options here. I think I saw a Malevolent Whispers in hand.
Alright, so that's kind of a threaten effect that can take control of an opposing creature, but with Madness. Madness cost is 4, same as the casting cost, so not enough mana to discard it to the Crier and cast it. If Autumn had enough mana for that, then that would be very powerful, because then you can take control of an opposing creature mid-combat, like block a creature from the opponent that was attacking with one of theirs, and suddenly have like a blowout 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah.
Not going to be available to Autumn unless there's a 6th land.
Well, we'll see what is going to happen here.
So you have to imagine the all-out swing. But 2 tokens are going to be blocked by Hooting Mandrills and Wild Mongrel for sure. Still get to ping some damage with the Hissing Iguanar, but if I'm Autumn, I don't see a lethal attack here, and I do see a lot of power on the other side of the board. But I wouldn't be like thinking or even trying to play around Become Immense at this point.
Yeah, so in the end, Autumn decided to go for an attack with 7 Auto Citizens, so that's going to be 5 combat damage plus 2 triggers from the Iguanar. So Kreutz down to 7, I believe.
Yes.
And now I think Kreutz has to know, like, I have to try to go for the win on my turn.
No. Now Autumn may be thinking, well, next turn I can attack with 7 creatures, and then either they are going to connect for damage, or be blocked and die. But then, thanks to the Hissing Iguanar, I should be able to set up a lethal attack. Especially when Spirit Cairn plus the Crier will provide 3 more blockers for, any attacks that Stefan might set up. But that Become Immense is easily the most important card in hand here. And my first guess is that Stefan is going to attack all out with all of his creatures, and then if you put the Become Immense on the Hooting Mandrills, at least that's a 10-10 Trampler, plus some other attackers.
If Arden had played one more land, taking a Become Immense creature at instant speed.
With the Malevolent Whispers,
yeah. But that option is not available to Autumn right now.
Yeah, and Stefan basically has to win this turn unless he finds a way around the Hissing Iguanar.
I mean, he has the Unholy Hunger, right? So he's maybe thinking, like, can I play it slow here, that I can, yeah, no. I thought like he just had the Crow Dark Tail. I'm like, he's taking it slow, and then just like one after another creature followed. All right, discard of a Save Hold Elite, trigger of the Spirit Cairn. So that's a 1/1 Spirit and a 2/1/1 Citizens. The Spirit is going to visit Ravnica as well very soon with the Afterlife mechanic in Ravnica Allegiance. No Afterlife just yet, but there's a block.
No, actually, the Afterlife creatures, I believe they're both white and black, which...
That's true. Oh yeah, we exchanged the Spirit. You're right. Yeah, the Spirit can only use a white token, but we used the white and black Spirit for a second there.
Okay.
And there, and now Autumn has to think if Hissing Iguanar is a card that wants to be exposed to dying here. It looks like, okay, block like this.
Well, there is no way to beat Become Immense anyway, so there's no point in like trying to play around it.
There's Become Immense for 6 mana, and that's the game, and that's the match for Stefan Kreutz here, beating the back-to-back English national champion here, and a very solid player in Autumn Burchett.
Yeah, it was a great match to see. Some good combat math, creatures attacking, running the numbers and all the combat tricks. Just good magic.
Yeah. All right, so we got more magic ready for you. I'm getting... Oh, this is wonderful here. Markus Spock against Yoshihiko Ikawa. So I know Marcus, he's from Austria, but I'm pretty sure Yoshihiko Ikawa is from Japan, coming over to play some Ultimate Master Seal deck. I love seeing this.
I mean, he's not the only one doing so. We had around 2,500 players in the main event. It's one of the largest European Grand Prix tournaments all time. So, yeah, this format it brought lots of people to get together and play Magic.
Ooh, Containment Priest being flashed in at instant speed there. We already seen a little bit of it here, and I'm wondering if we're going to have some interactions that are going to come up where the Containment Priest is going to be useful here. Brazen Scourge from Ikawa. I think he did draw the 3rd land in Plains off the top of his deck to be able to play the Scourge. So let's see if Marcus Perk can put some damage of his own on the table. But I think it's just going to be a Sanitarian Skeleton here. Not very exciting.
No, although once you get to the late game, the Skeleton can come back from the graveyard and be recurred as a chump blocker every turn.
Yeah. Shrikma though takes care of the Scourge, and there's a Cathodian to block. It's quite a good blocker. Ikawa looking like he's built up some sort of aggro deck here, with as Boros usually does.
Still, 3/3s are bigger than 2/2s, which is the high level strategic advice that I'm here for.
Yeah, that I expect from a mathematician.
Yes, but it does mean that Marcus is suddenly unable to attack. Didn't even have anything to add to his board. Neither did Ikawa. So both players are not exactly firing on all cylinders.
Draw go. Oh, there's an Unholy Hunger though. 3 mana added to Ikawa's pool. No uses at instant speed though.
Apparently
for him.
not.
And just a Wingsteed
What
Rider.
does Ikawa have? I see like a double white Wingsteed Rider, which he cannot cast. A bunch of... is he going to discard to hand size and then play Reckless Worm?
No, I think
he only has 7.
Yeah, he has Firewing Phoenix, I believe.
Maybe next turn.
Maybe next turn, yeah. The classic. Turn 6, discard to hand size, madness out a creature. I mean...
It was the plan all along.
Yeah. I remember, during the times of... Basking Rutwala in Standard, there were times where like a Madness player kept 7 cards, drew for his turn, discarded Rutwala.
Really, not even the land on the first
no
turn?
land, just kept a no lander with some careful studies and whatnot. The usual.
All right. Meanwhile, Ikawa did draw a land, so he surely has something with
discard to hand size.
Okay, at least we saw it.
He went for it. He's down to 4 here and facing quite a few creatures. So.
Yeah, he's probably not going to win from this spot.
Marcus Prague also drew Resurrection. He can bring back the Shriekmaw and kill the worm.
Okay. Yeah.
It's an interaction. Yeah, Ikawa is like, I'm already scooping them up, as you can see. All right, so that's game 1 going to the Austrian here on our left. Let's see if Ikawa can bring the beats better in the second game. What you mentioned about sideboarding is something I really like. That we saw Autumn change completely the archetype that was the configuration of Autumn's deck, but Ikawa staying true to Boros.
Yeah, there can be many reasons for changing configurations in Sealed. One is, of course, that you discover that you misbuilt the deck and that was a better way to build it. Alternatively, it could be based on play or draw. It could be that an aggressive archetype is much better on the play, or that they just feel like another color combination matches up much better against the opponent.
Frank, you know what we missed last game? Containment Priest. You know how Containment Priest works with resurrecting Shriekmaw?
It immediately dies, right?
Yeah, it gets exiled. It doesn't even come into play. So it's basically like it shouldn't have happened. If a creature enters the battlefield and it wasn't cast, you exile it instead.
Correct.
So basically, Yoshi Ikawa didn't missed it as well because he was scooped up his cards. Mm-hmm. But still, it's like it shouldn't have happened, and I'm happy that the chat has spotted this.
Yeah. Containment Priest works for both players, indeed.
Yep. So this Containment Priest, it's tricky. People are just not used to playing it. It was first released in one of the Commander sets, I think. Conspiracy or Commander, one of the special sets, and I think just players were not used to it, and now it's already the second time where we see players missing the interaction that it brings to the table. All right, so Undying Rage on a Ronom Unicorn, making it into a 4/4 beater and a Sanitarium Skeleton. That's a blocker that can come back.
Yeah, but that Unicorn is gonna keep rumbling in there. I mean, it can't even block thanks to the Undying Rage. And there we have a 4/2 flyer that can also come back from the graveyard.
Yeah, Firewing Phoenix. Yep. Yeah, I mean it's pretty expensive to bring it back, but it's a recursive threat that you want to have this option in your aggro decks, right?
Yeah, 4 mana to bring it back from the graveyard to your hand. So takes a while, but pretty good against removal spells.
Right, what is Marcus up to here? I do see an Icatian Crier. I do see a Death Denied.
Well, Death Denied doesn't seem great when the only creature in the graveyard is the Sanitarium Skeleton, which can actually return to your hand for just paying the mana cost itself.
Yeah, I also see a Cathodian in Marcus's hand. His deck is not shaping up to be that great this game, so...
No, well, Cathodian could be a plan. You cast it and then double block the Ronom Unicorn.
Sure.
Hopefully that works, and you trade 3/3/4/4/4.
I like how you're saying like hopefully it works.
Yeah, well, I mean any instant speed removal spell or any combat trick would turn that double block into a 2-for-1 or a 1-for-2 from Marcus's perspective. Yeah. No, looks like he's gonna go on the aggressive. into a damage race.
All right, so there's the Cathodian, and leaving a mana for the tricky Containment Priest. That's the talk of the chat right now. I do agree with some of the players that just players are not familiar with it. If you don't play Legacy, you probably know of Containment Priest as the card. Like it stops show and tell and reanimation and I don't know, sneak attack or something like that. Because that's its main use.
I mean, honestly, when like we talked about the interaction between Containment Priest and Persist in the previous game, but for some reason I had in my own mind that Containment Priest said, well, if the creature would enter, just sacrifice it instead, rather than just exile it instead. And yeah, that's also just a factor of not playing enough with it in limited. And I imagine that many players are just making just natural mistakes, not being used to the card.
Yep. Madness, on the other hand, works because you still cast it.
Yes.
So Containment Priest cannot stop the Reckless Worm. I think Marcus just drew a poor combination of cards in this particular game because it just seems like he has unimpressive creatures, and for Yoshiko Ikawa, who has lands this time and spells to go along with it, his spells just look so much better. There's the Sanitarium Skeleton being played. That's certainly not impressive.
No, but now I do wonder about the choice to attack with the Ghoul Color Accomplice on the previous turn.
Sure.
Because now, well, Marcus is not going for the damage raise after all. In fact, he was far behind in the damage raise from the start. He just took a bunch of extra damage from the Ronom Unicorn in the meantime.
Yeah, we'll see how Ikawa navigates this attack step. For those of you who joined us recently or are not sure what's going on here, we're playing Ultimate Masters, which was a special set full of reprint cards from the Magic's past. Lots of awesome cards in the set. You can probably still buy it in your local game store or order it somewhere, and it's a really fun set. And for this tournament, there's more than 2,500 players, or around 2,500 players in the room playing sealed decks. So that means each player got 6 packs of Ultimate Masters, and they needed to build 40 card decks, and now they're playing against each other. And if they make it to day 2, they're gonna get to play some draft.
Yep. Also on Magic Online, you had been able to play Ultimate Masters in previous weeks. It is coming back. Starting on March 6, Ultimate Masters is coming back for another week, as was announced in the Ravnica Allegiance Magic Online Edition article by Ellie Medwin that went up yesterday.
Sweet.
And yeah, it is a very popular limited format, especially for players who have been playing Magic for quite a while and love the nostalgia of seeing all kinds of great mechanics from Magic's history once again together in a set.
Yeah, so more auras here. I think it's a Conviction played on the Ronom Unicorn. That adds a bit more toughness to it. So now it should be 5-8, 5-7. Help me out, Frank. Here, 5-7, right? A 4-4 with the Undying Rage.
And then
plus 1 plus 3.
Plus 1 plus 3, so it becomes a 5-7.
Got there. I'm surprised why Ikawa didn't go for the Conviction. Maybe something like the Worm, because it has Trample as well. Or maybe even the Phoenix. I mean, the Phoenix is 2-turn clock anyway, but we'll see. Maybe Ikawa has some plans here.
Well, if you want to split between being semi-aggressive but still having blockers just in case,
sure.
Then well, you cannot block with the Ronom Unicorn thanks to the Undying Rage. Now you still have the Reckless Worm.
Sure. Right. So there's a Thermo Alchemist here. Can threaten a ping of damage here and there. Mm-hmm. Another land for Spurk. So I think we're going to go to game 3 here in our Time Walk match, and the wonders of time travel.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now in the game 3 between Spurk and Ikawa. Let's see what these players can put together this time around.
And the age-old limited lesson that we keep seeing in these games is that flyers are good in limited. So many games come down to a situation where both players have a whole lot of creatures. Attacking and blocking, well, especially attacking gets difficult. But then a flyer or some other evasive creature can take down the game.
Okay, Vessel of Endless Rest coming down for Sporg on turn 3. He ramping up his mana. I think Marcus did mulligan, so he's fairly low on cards, doesn't have much going on, but he might be able to get a mana advantage here as the Kawa plays a Cathodian. This card has seen quite a bit of play in this particular match, both players with Cathodians of their own. I do see Unburial Rites, I do see a Gurmag Angler, but almost nothing else going on for Spork here. Yeah, Death Denied as well. Ugh.
Yeah, that's a rather slow draw. And well, Ikawa is in a position to punish that by adding a bunch of pressure to the board. Now Helios Pilgrim, just 1 power, doesn't really classify as adding a whole bunch of pressure to the board.
No.
But it does search up Undying Rage. Although if Marcus passes the turn again, I would be surprised if Ikawa would just go for the Undying Rage onto a creature, because I mean Marcus must be holding something.
Probably. I mean, Ikawa has quite a few lands of his own. There's a swing with the Cathodian.
Block?
Okay.
That's weird.
Maybe he wants to fuel Delph for his Gurmag Angler, especially now in the face of the Reckless Worm.
It's a plan, yeah.
He did get there. Can delve away the accomplice. Not something you want to do because it's it has an ability when it's in the graveyard. But
I mean, this is not great, but at least it gives him a blocker that currently, as the board stands, can block anything. Though once that Undying Rage is going to get enchanted on the Reckless Worm.
Ooh, Fate's
no
Feathers.
Longer. That's even better.
Yeah, I love Helios Pilgrim with Fate's Feathers, but it looks like Ikawa already had that in his hand. Now a Hyena Umbra on the Reckless Worm, and a big swing from the Japanese player on our right. Swing for 9 already. Spork down to 8. And what is he going to do here? I mean, the worst thing is Angler is not even dead. He can't even bring it back with the Unburial Rites.
Yeah. It seemed like Marcus's draw just didn't come together at all. Most importantly, he didn't have like any reasonable blockers or removal spells in the early turns. And yeah, it was over quickly.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if the aggressive deck manages to beat you down before you set up your defenses, this is what is going to happen. And it's a legitimate plan for a seal deck in Ultimate Masters. Sometimes, if your pool doesn't have the big bombs and the mana fixing and the card draws, then you just gotta beat them down.
And often it can work because so many people are trying to assemble all these cute late game synergies and go for like the big Death Denied or whatever. But yeah, just creatures curving out. It can take games quite easily when the opponent stumbles.
All right, that's it for round 3 from us. We'll be back soon. As you can see, the players are behind us already getting ready for round 4, and so are we. So we'll be back soon after these messages.